Hi, Amy with AJ's Vintage Designs and Fashion Toppings here, and working on this piece. This is a buffet, and I have some drawers that are on the inside. I took the drawer out. As you can see there, we're gonna work on that one. But it looks like this, and I just wanna spruce it up a little bit. See that drawer in there? Kind of boring, right? So I'm gonna do a little decoupaging just so when you open up the cabinet doors, this thing is so detailed on the outside. Look at all that detail. That I want there also to be a little pop of something on the inside. So we're gonna be doing some decoupage, and I have this, look at this gorgeous paper. It comes in 2 sheets, and it actually is a full image. Let me see if I can get the full image together for you. It's actually a full image of flowers. Isn't that pretty? It comes in 2 sheets, and it's called Bridget. It's mulberry tissue paper, which I did a review on this. I did some on a book, and it was like a mermaid scales, like blue scales that I decoupaged on a book, and I really liked it, so I wanted to try it again. And like I said, it's mulberry tissue paper, and it's called Bridget, and it's actually a full, oh, you can't see it on here, but it's a full image. It comes in 2 sheets, and I don't know the measurements of the sheets, but it comes, as you can see, it comes in 2 sheets, and it's a full image split in half. I am actually going to be bringing the camera down, and we're going to apply this transfer. We're going to be putting this paper, we're going to decoupage it onto the front of this drawer to dress it up, because I want something special. When you open that door, I want it to look a little bit more special than just plain paint. So I'm going to bring the camera down, we're going to walk through it. It's quick and easy, and I'm going to kind of talk about this just a little bit, my thoughts about it. Like I said, I have tried it one other time, and just to let you know, it's kind of like a dryer sheet. It's pretty tough, but you can tear it. It can be torn, you know, so you can have that rough edge. But you know how we usually decoupage with tissue paper, and we can take a little wet paintbrush and draw around our image to kind of make it easily separated, or kind of like using it as a scissors, but we use a wet paintbrush. That won't work on this. This is too strong for that. So if you either have to cut it, if you want it precise, you have to use a scissors. If you want that jagged edge, you can tear it. Like I said, it's like a dryer sheet. Also, it is thicker than tissue paper. So, you know, tissue paper, when you decoupage it on, it'll go completely like flat. You can run your hands across it and usually can't feel it. This is thicker, so you will feel where a decoupage image stops and starts. So if I stop an image, you know, I'll be able to feel that edge, because it is a little bit, like I said, it's thicker. It's like using the thickness of if you were decoupaging with wrapping paper or fabric. It's the same thing, but it's so easy to work with though. So I'm gonna put it on this drawer. Like I said, I've only used it on a book before. I decoupaged a book, and now I'm going to decoupage this drawer. So like I said, I'm gonna bring you down so you can watch the process. Okay, and you can use Mod Podge, or you can use a clear coat. I like to use Dixie Belle's Gator Hide when I decoupage. So I'm going to be using that. Doesn't take much. Okay, I'll set this down to the side a little bit. Next, I'm gonna place my image on. See how I have this little slope? Gotta get the dust off. I have this little slope here. I'm not gonna worry about that till the end. I'm gonna get a decoupage on first. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and determine my placement. I know I want the word seed store on here. I also want this large flower, the full image, to be on here. So that is kind of like the placement I want. I'm not worried about this little recessed area right now. I'll be cutting and trimming that at the end. So let's go ahead and apply our first coat of the Gator Hide, which is Dixie Belle's toughest clear coat. Like I said, you can use Mod Podge, or I'm not a big fan of Mod Podge, but you can use Mod Podge. You can use a clear coat polyacrylic. This decoupaging with this fabric, you do not have to use the iron, because it already breathes, because it's like I said, it's like a dryer sheet. It's not, it says it's tissue paper, but it's not the consistency of an actual tissue paper. So I don't want you to be confused by that. It's the consistency, this paper is more like interfacing if you're a sewer, or it is like a dryer sheet. If you're not a sewer, you'd be able to, you know, relate to the feeling of a dryer sheet. Okay, so I've got it all covered. And all there is to it is to lay it down. The nice thing is this paper is, I mean, it's tough. So you can move it around if you need to. Okay. I want to make sure the seed store is on there. Okay. See how it's gonna look nice. I gotta make sure it's gonna look like it's straight. Okay, good enough. I guess it is kind of crooked. The seed store is crooked. See, the nice thing about this is you can move it. Let's see how much. Okay, this looks a little bit straighter. Okay, and you can kind of feel the top coat that I'm using. You can feel it coming through just a little bit. Now keep in mind when you're decoupaging, when you have lighter colors, whatever paint color you have underneath, you have a chance of that actually like showing through. So I know I have a lot of white words in here. I have some natural distressing on here. So whatever color I have painted underneath this, it has the chance of showing through. So keep that in mind when you are putting that over a painted surface. Okay, now I'm gonna saturate the top or put a nice coat of the sealer, or like I said, I'm using the gator hide, but whatever you're using as your decoupage medium, put it on top, and I'm looking and making sure it's soaking through. Getting all the way up to the edge. It's very important to get the edge, and I'm going to be removing that fabric afterwards. But I'm just taking my brush, kind of pushing it through the weave. The nice thing about this is because of the texture of this, it breathes, so I'm not gonna have to worry about any bubbles. And as long as I can keep going over this with top coats. This paper is very tough, but if you do have a small tear, you do have to be careful, because if I worked it and I had a small tear someplace, then that tear would spread. But so far I haven't had that issue. I was playing around with a sample board, and I had torn it, the piece before I put it on, and that one the tearing did spread a little bit because I was way overworking it. But I wanted to see how much I could put this paper through before I had any issues with it, and I put it through the ringer. I mean, I was going back and forth with the paintbrush, adding more and more top coat. I was testing it because I wanted to see how much this paper would take. And I like the fact that I can just keep working it. This is a drawer, so I want it to be tough. It's gonna get a lot of use. So I gotta be able to reach this part over here. It's starting to dry a little bit because I moved it so much. There, just added a little bit more underneath. Push it out. Okay, and then I'm gonna add more on the top. See how easy this is? There's no bubbling. There's no wrinkles. Now this is different though. If you were just wanting to decoupage like just one flower on here, it won't look the same as you would if you were using like regular tissue paper or a napkin, because those are so thin. When they get wet with your whatever decoupage medium that you're using, when it gets wet, it kind of melts into your paint, so you don't really see the start and stop edges. But like I said, this is like a fabric almost. So if you wanted just a flower, you will see the edge of the flower that you cut because it's thicker. It's not going to be as flat as like a thinner paper, like a napkin or a regular tissue paper. This is thicker, but it is so easy to use. It's quick. I don't have to worry about bubbles and wrinkles. Okay. Now I have put a lot of top coat on here, so it's going to take a minute to dry. So I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna come back in about an hour and show you how I'm gonna trim it up. So I'm just gonna make sure I got all my edges. Okay. Your edges are the most important thing. If you have an edge that isn't put down, that's gonna be your weak spot. So I'm just going over the edges real quick to make sure that I've got that top coat on it. Okay. Alrighty, let's come back and I'm gonna check it, like I said, I'll check it in an hour. Let's come back in an hour and I'll show you how to trim it up. It's gonna look so nice. Okay. Okay, it's completely dry now. It's been about an hour and I'm gonna just make it easier on myself. I'm gonna trim off a little bit of the excess here. Now this is where my little recess is. So I'm going to actually cut in a couple areas so that when I'm sanding my edges, see, I'm just making little slices so that it's able to bend. Just like in sewing when you're doing a curve. I need it to be able to bend, there we go, for when I sand. Okay, this is how easy it is. I can actually trim this off with the scissors to make it even easier. So that you guys can see what I'm working with. Okay, so see how I just recess that in? Now I'm gonna take a sanding block and I'm just gonna go in the downward motion. I'm gonna do it on the side real quick so I can see it. I'm gonna go in the downward motion and I'm gonna sand that edge to be smooth. Now you can use a razor. I just gotta find the roughest side of this thing. That's a little too smooth. I think this is maybe the roughest side. You can take a razor if you'd rather use a razor. I just prefer this because it's quick, it's easy, and you get a great finish line. See how that's gonna finish it right there? And I can continue to tear it off. See, nice and smooth. I'm gonna do that all the way around. And if my sandpaper is too gentle, because this is really old, if it's too gentle, I'll have to get a different sheet that's a little bit like a 120 grit. Going in the downward motion, going along that curve. As soon as I see it start tearing, I know I can pull. See. And if I have to touch up paint, that's okay. I want a nice smooth edge without having to use a razor, especially around the curve. See how nice that is going right around the curve? You see that? That's what I'm gonna do inside. I'm gonna get a stronger sandpaper. One's just a little too used. Okay. Just grab a little piece here. Okay. There we go. Going right along the curve. I might have to touch up a little bit of the paint. See how nice and neat this is going right along the curve? I recommend, you know, 120 or a 180 to 220 grit sandpaper. This one is a little strong. It's 100 grit, but that's all I have on hand. I have a lot of 400 grit, but okay, I switched over to 120 grit paper. The 100 was just really chewing it up as far as my paint. So I went and found some 120 grit, which works a lot better. Look at, see, perfect. The 120 is perfect. And just work your way all the way around the drawer. See how quick this is? I'm pushing in a downwards motion, not going up, but coming down. And there is my drawer. Look at how quick and easy that was. See how clean the edges? Perfect finish, not a single, you can see an angle, no bubbles, no wrinkles. Okay, so it's all done. Quick and easy. I just used the tissue paper from Redesign with Prima, and this one is the name, I believe it's Bridget, is the name of this paper. It was quick and easy, no wrinkles, no bubbles. This, like I said, this was really easy as far as decoupaging. And now I have a great look to my drawer inside my cabinet. So not only is it gonna be pretty on the outside, but when you open it up, it's gonna be pretty on the inside. And okay, well, this is Amy with AJ's Vintage Designs and Fashion Toppings. I had so much fun with this project. It was quick and easy. I absolutely love this. This is Redesign with Prima's new tissue paper, but remember that it doesn't have the feel of tissue paper. It has the feel of a dryer sheet or a very thin fabric. So keep that in mind when you see tissue paper. It doesn't have the feel of a tissue paper. It is thicker, but it is so easy to use. It is so smooth, and I mean, it is just quick and easy. It's the easiest decoupaging fabric or material that I've ever used. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click on that little bell so you're notified each and every time I put a new video up. You can check me out on Facebook. I do weekly live painting tutorials on my Facebook page at AJ's Vintage Designs, and I'm also on Instagram as well. My blog page is www.ajsvintagedesigns.com. Okay, well, until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.